that, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and buckle up for Sim Racers Group Formula 3 racing on SMB. Jared Gregory here with you on the call alongside Kenan Miller and tonight's producer, Mike Braun. And week 8 takes us from the twisty confines of Oulton Park to the wide open spaces of Monza, located in northern Italy outside of Milan. This track was built in 1922, has hosted over 100 years of racing, hosted the Italian Grand Prix since 1949, also past host of the World Endurance Championship and Grand Prix motorcycles. Today's configuration, 3.6 miles, 5.8 clicks, 11 turns, and the record was broken just this year by Lando Norris in the McLaren when he set a 120.910. So Kenan, tonight brings us a classic track. So many things you could say about Monza, many unique challenges to be sure. So what are your keys to success here in Italy?
I think there's three things you've got to especially look out for here. And starting with number one, like we see on the graphic, the draft's going to be pretty powerful here. These Formula 3 cars have a lot of speed and power behind them. They're not as slow as a Formula 4 car. Draft's going to be able to allow a lot of overtaking, especially going into the final corner. And obviously, as we know, the front stretch going into that famous turn one. Second point, you've got to be slow and fast out. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of straightaways here, and a lot of them require carrying the speed from the middle to the exit of the corner. You can find yourself where you can maybe take a little bit of a lunge on entry if you need to make a pass, but more than likely when you're trying to make good laps and catch competitors in front of you, you're going to have to focus on the exit of the corner. And third, as we see every week in Formula 3 racing here in the Sim Racers group, the tire wear could play a major role at the end. I suspect it will play a major role at the end. These rear tires are going to get burned off. It's a lot of high-speed racing at Monza. It's going to make really exciting racing for all of us here on the slow motion broadcasting network, but by far it'll come down to who's not burnt them off the most at the end of 25 minutes.
Yeah, too right. And I would say too that Monza is a track that can invite some mistakes. As we're taking a look at Justin Snyder right now going through the first chicane there, and whoop, right on cue, kind of over rotates out of that exit, and you got to stay off those curbs, Kenan. So brutal. The second chicane also has some monster curbs, and I've always felt that the Ascari chicane on the back straight kind of set drivers apart. If you can hit that with a high degree of precision and not over slow there, you can really take a big bite out of your lap time. So it is going to be fantastic to see these F3 cars out here. They're very well suited to the high speed character of this track. We've got a field of very talented drivers, and they should be putting on a great show for us. 2 races here on Slow Motion Broadcast tonight, not just one. So we'll start with a 15-minute heat after we wrap up this 1-hour open qualifying session. We'll have a brief warm-up, and that will go into a 25-minute sprint with the order set from the heat race. So qualifying has wrapped up, and once the world clicks over into race universe here on the iRacing, and bang, right on cue. Wow, that was pretty cool. There is our starting grid. We'll go ahead and go through that with you now. Stephen Case, after failing to win last week at Oulton Park for the first time in 7 outings, had won 6 in a row, and could not dodge the flaming barrels at Oulton, and his first time off the podium looks to make amends. He will start tonight from the pole, lined up next to Jason Green. Danush Paborji will be lined up next to De Silva. Behind them in row 6, or 3 rather, it's Velasco next to Josh Leslie, who again finds himself deep in the top 10. He's got pace, but still has yet to put in a complete race here since his promotion to Formula 3. Then we've got Jose Navas next to Kalen Mikovits in 7 and 8. Lopez next to Borden in 9 and 10. Jason Cotcher will line up next to Josh Corwin in row 6. And behind them we'll have Grunsky lined up next to Varun Bali. Chris Wang will line up next to Justin Schneider in row 8. Then it's Cardenas next to Duvall. And Jacob Guyton will be our lone man back there in P19. And as we back up our view a little bit right there, that is Stephen Case in the blue 243 car. So he'll have the outside run into turn 1. It's going to be critical for him to get that car cleanly off the line and be ready to defend from Paborji. If Paborji gets a better start, that is Paborji in the 4, or no, that's De Silva actually. We're missing Paborji, or I'm sorry, completely lost my mind. We're missing Jason Green. The green 160 in P2 is the car that Case is going to have to keep an eye on that run into turn 1. So we are going to get this thing underway in a second. There go our lights, and here we go. We're about to take off F3 at Monza, and we are green. Pretty good start by both the folks in the front row. Green is not going to have a crack at Case, although he's still peaking a little bit, might be creeping slightly ahead, and it is a high-risk maneuver to challenge for the lead here on cold tires right off the start. Green will do it, though. A number of cars going side by side into turn 1. No contact so far, and look at Case, nailed that first chicane and pulls away. Green was right with him on the entry to turn 1, and Case has already dumped him about 3/10, and no changes up front. It's Case from Green, from Paborgi, De Silva, Velasco. Looks like Josh Corwin has had a very good start and moved up 3 positions, but Green's still right there with Case. And I'll tell you right now, Kenan, his job right now, the job of Green, Paborgi, De Silva, Velasco, and Leslie is not to let Stephen Case get away so that they can benefit from the draft in 2 places on this track. If he does get away, this one is going to be over.
Stephen Case obviously missing last week. It opened up an opportunity. It really boosted Jason Green's confidence. I think this kind of track will really suit well to him. He clearly had the speed in getting his win last weekend at Imola, or excuse me, not at Imola, at Alton Park, in really pretty good fashion. So we'll have to see just how long he hangs on. Here we see they're going through the Variante Ascari 8, 9, and 10. Just like we talked about, it leaves them on essentially the back straightaway. And this is where it's an opportunity for passing. Being only a 15-minute heat race, like you mentioned earlier, you don't want to find yourself into mistakes. But this is a good opportunity where you're going to get a lot of opportunities to pass. Even in 15 minutes, I suspect there to be about 12, maybe 13 laps. So you want to make sure you set up your passes right. Even if you're in the back of the field, maybe we're able to go back and look at Josh Corwin on the opening start, but really started out like a dog there, made some good opening passes, and actually found himself having some trouble by the time he got to the first chicane in 4 and 5. So it's going to be quite a little bit of shaking up going on throughout the field. Clearly the top 3 between Case, Green, and Paborgi are starting to kind of settle themselves in. De Silva's starting to lose that draft from the group in front. So you see where the groups are coming, and that's where the passing opportunities will be had.
Yeah, Green having himself a little peek there into turn 1, and you're right, that front group of Case, Green, and Paborgi have dumped the group behind. It was Leslie there, I think. Well, he was at least involved in that pack. Oh my goodness, and here is a little move here. That is, where are we? We are coming through us. The second chicane there. Sorry, my brain is on a holiday. If you heard me last night, I'll apologize for that, and apologize in advance for tonight. I'm going to get lost a couple times tonight for sure. But in any event, Case, Green, Paborgi driving off. They've dropped De Silva to about 1.3 seconds. De Silva still towing Velasco, and Velasco with a huge gap behind, 5 seconds to Novice. So you're absolutely right, Kenan. Only a 15-minute heat here. And I imagine, oh, and there goes Green. Green cuts Ascari. That is going to be a slowdown, and Green is going to fall completely out of there. You know, Stephen Case is loving what he's seeing there. And oof, a little kerfuffle off the start there. I'm not sure. Looks like Borden has lost some body work, and rough and tumble turn 1 at Monza never fails to cough up some body parts. You got to be ready for that concertina effect. 2 cars getting noses taken off. Got to be ready for that concertina effect into turn 1. Allow extra space, and a couple drivers there not allowing space and getting caught out. But maybe we can take a look, Mike, at Jason Green. Green having some problems there. He was in that top group. It was Case from Green, from Paborgi, and Green absolutely, whoa, a little drift there. Wow, what a great shot that was. Green, you see him fighting there with Stephen Case, and he's going to end up going into the sand here, and Ascari, which is, I'm pretty sure, is a slowdown. But Green is definitely well equipped to take it to Case, and that car getting away from him, there it is right there. And that's definitely a slowdown penalty that will drop Case out of that front group. But Case, a very high rated driver, and always, or Green rather, a high rated driver, always game.
Yeah, Jason Green, he's really been pushing really hard, and here we come back live. There's Jason Green making a move to get by Tyrone De Silva, it looks like, and setting himself clear past that. He's obviously got himself quite a good 4-second run to try and get back for the fight between the top 2 of Stephen Case and Anush Paborgi. But Jason Green really, like I said, he's definitely riding off the confidence of last week. I think we all know he's got the speed. He's a certain contender in this championship race. And right now, Stephen Case obviously is the even bigger championship contender. So it puts a lot of pressure on you as a driver when you're trying to keep up with Stephen Case, and he found himself running through the grass. He thankfully, with these cars with the damage on, he didn't really look to sustain anything significant to any of the wings or underbodies. So I think he'll be all right. He won't need to take a pit or anything. We've seen where David Borden had to pit missing that rear wing, and that's going to certainly set him back. So Pretty interesting race we got, and there goes Paborgi by Stephen Case, it looks like, and the fastest lap going down the front stretch. So that is a pretty big pass happening on the exit of the corner there. That's sort of surprising. Usually you see that pass happen much later on the front straightaway.
Yeah, Paborgi was all over Stephen Case that time around, had the fast lap, making that draft work for him, and gets that pass done into the first chicane. But Case fighting back here right away as they head into the second chicane. Pretty good passing opportunity right here. Can be hazardous because of the high curves, but Paborgi is going to back out and take the safe route, get back, let Case back through. But Paborgi actually put a move on Stephen Case and led him for a couple corners, and there's not a lot of drivers in this field that can say that. And we're already 6 minutes, almost halfway through here. The front group completely broken up. We're taking a look right now at Velasco with Tyrone De Silva. That is a fight for P4, and that gap down pretty low, under 0.4. So De Silva will definitely have a crack to do something similar to what Paborgi did the next time down the pit straight. Leslie as well, all over Jose Navas, and then Corwin leading a 5-car train for P8. So here is a little preview, Kenan, of what we're going to see in this sprint race. The draft will kind of suck these cars together and cause them to train up. So you definitely do not want the cars in front of you to get away. If you miss the train, you're going to be late for work.
And I think that's exactly what you're seeing here in this kind of heat race. So a lot of people do know, for a lot of racetracks on the roadside, this track is essentially a NASCAR's Daytona or Talladega. I mean, the draft really can keep you in it even if you're not carrying the speed you'd like through the corners. And so right now you're seeing it, but I think that's where we've seen Jason Green go off. We've seen a couple other drivers really pushing it quite hard. You even see a couple cars back there really tucking noses, not following in a line. And I think you're finding where a lot of drivers are pushing hard now so they know what the car will have when it comes to the main event for 25 minutes. You'll definitely, I expect to see 4 or 5 cars staying in that front pack throughout the entire race come to the main event. And right there we see Joshua Corrin getting passed on the outside by Kalen Mikowitz. Seems to make pretty easy work of him. That was pretty good running. I would expect in the 25-minute race we'll see the tires affect more. I can't imagine that's really because of excessive tire usage, but Joshua Corrin did have some contacts there in the open beginning. He maybe has some aero damage, and Paborgi is still keeping right on Case's case. So we'll just kind of have to keep an eye on it. Really, I think Paborgi will hang on and just have to make a last lap dive wherever he decides it's best.
Yeah, Paborgi trying the inside of Lesmo there, got side by side with Case, a little bit of wheel banging, but Case gets out of Lesmo too, still in the lead here, but plenty of time left, and Paborgi definitely has the pace out here, definitely has the assistance of the draft, and this is where it kind of turns into a chess match between these two. Probably don't, you know, once you figure out where you're going to make your move, you got to figure out what lap you want to make it on. You might not want to be in P1 coming down this little back straight into the parabolica on the last lap, or you might be a sitting duck, as Stephen Case experienced right there. But Case now going to be in the position to take advantage of that draft. Look at our timing tower. Watch that gap drop. It's 0.2 going down to 0.1 now. Case definitely close enough to make a move. Paborgi will leave the inside open, and Case is going to get through. And I'll tell you one thing I'm looking forward to seeing, Kenan, is a little inside defense there into turn 1, force the move on the outside entry to the first chicane. Totally doable and can make for some exciting moments here at Monza.
Yeah, it's certainly something we'll see in the later stages of the race. Just getting to the conclusion and almost into the final third. I think Paborgi, and there we see, looks like Christopher Wang has just spun himself off all on his own. That kind of shows you, I think some of these drivers through the middle of the field, maybe they are burning their tires off a little more than you'd think. Obviously, you do have the high speeds and the hard braking that Monza really invites in there. It looks like maybe just ran himself a little too wide, touched the sand, lost traction on that right rear, and see him having to wait to get back going. So tough break for Christopher Wang. Thankfully it's just a heat race, so put him in a bad starting position, but he'll have an opportunity to gain coming to the main feature event.
Yeah, and I think Wang there, we were talking about how Monza kind of invites errors with those big curbs, especially in those first 2 chicanes, and that caught Wang out right there, bounced over the apex of the second corner there, caused him to go wide into the dirt, and around he went. So I got to be very, very careful through that section. For me personally, probably the most frustrating spot on this track is that first chicane. I cannot seem to get it right despite doing about 1,000 laps out here. But here we are riding along with Danush Poborji, about 4.5 minutes left, and watch that gap go to work. And Case so far going to leave the inside open and going to give Poborji the Olay right here and let him through. And right now is when you're sitting in the cockpit doing mental calculations. How many laps are left? On which lap do I want to be in P1 to figure out when the white flag lap is, because these drivers exchanging positions a couple times on each lap, and it's really going to come down to making that choice when to make the move and when to wait for strategic reasons. And my goodness, look at these guys. So I thought they were going to hit Ascari side by side. Poborji, or that's not Ascari, that's the second chicane. As Case goes through first, Poborji backs out this time, but still is doing a very good job maintaining that gap up to Case. That is the story of these F3 races. Don't let Case get away. Poborji doing a fantastic job right now.
Yeah, Poborji, I think, is really just kind of having a gentleman's race. I think he feels like he maybe is faster than Stephen Case. It looks like he's getting himself more opportunities throughout the lap to make passes. He's not choosing to take every single one of them. We've seen both of them trade positions through turn one the last 2 laps, and both of them kind of, when the car looked inside, they sort of gave it to him. No need to get themselves touching wheel to wheel with still at least probably about 3 laps to go. We will certainly see that aggression anting up as we get into the final lap. But right now, I think it's kind of just a matter of, do you want to be the leader or do you want to be the follower? And the one challenge with being a follower is you can touch wheels, you maybe get knocked off with a front wheel or rear wheel of the leader collision, and sometimes it works out where second place goes spinning and the leader is able to continue forward. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here with the draft. You even see Poborji backs off. He chooses to not even take a chance. Clearly had the draft in an easy run by the start finish line. So it's just a cat and mouse game right now. It's just going to come down to how well Stephen Case defends on the last lap and how well Poborji is capable of overtaking him without creating an incident.
Yeah, they crossed the line that time. 2.5 minutes remaining. So this is the penultimate lap right here. They'll get the white flag the next time around. You see Mikovits still getting work done here as he gets past Novice. Very nice over-under move there in the first chicane as they head around the Curvo Biasano, or Curvo Grande. I won't torture you too much with my bad Italian, but such a classic part of Monza, seeing those downforce cars haul the mail around that turn 3 that connects those 2 chicanes. And that is, Mikovits is leading a little train there for P7. It's Mikovits from Novice, from Lopez, and all of those cars covered by less than half a second. So really great preview of what we're going to see later on in the sprint. And here come Case and Poborji through Ascari, and Poborji really has shown some great pace here at Monza. That gap very low right here. He's going to have a crack here into Parabolica, but I don't think that he really wants it this time. Not listening to me, of course, he's at least going to show his nose and let Case come across the line in P1. And we should, I believe, see the white flag this time, although I didn't see it somehow with a minute left. Not sure how that's possible, but Case have the inside run here into turn 1. They are side by side, and what is going to happen here? Again, Poborji backing out of it, and I'll tell you, Kenan, as I said, that outside move into turn 1, doable. Haven't seen it here yet, but I'm betting when the red mist starts flying in the sprint, we will see somebody try that, and I hope they do.
Yeah, absolutely, and it wouldn't be surprising to see them try it here. It is maybe the final lap. I think as I was watching them come across the finish line, I did not see the white flag waving, so this may actually be the penultimate lap, which if it is so, then Poborji, I think, is kind of just holding his course. He's very clearly chose that second is where he wants to be to have an opportunity on the final lap to make a move. You see Stephen Case has actually pulled a really nice move there, going on the run up to Ascari and pulled away by 4 or 5 tenths. but that's still enough that the draft's going to pull Poborji right back into it. So Stephen Case doesn't have really any options left to run away. He just really has to hope that luck works out for him, try and not do anything. And we see, so we're riding on board with Tanush Poborji through the Oscar Veracante and down into the backstretch. Now we're running to the Parabolica, and this is where you'll more than likely see, if this was a white flag lap, this is where you've got to make your move. I think if you wait any earlier, you really risk that Stephen Case is the kind of driver he could easily get you back in this spot. So you don't want to let him beat you there. You've got to beat him there. And I think we're about to find out here as they're running down the front straightaway.
Yeah, now the checker is out. I knew that had to be the white flag. Barney didn't have it that time around. That was the white flag lap, however. And as you see there, Case is going to take P1 by about 0.4. And if you notice, Case not just about pace. Case has got some racecraft. He knew it was the last lap. He knew when he needed to light the wick and get himself a gap behind that would not subject him to being overtaken in the draft by Poborji, and he just made it happen. So some great driving there by Case. Is going to be Case from Poborji, Green, De Silva, Velasco will round out your top 10, and not a lot of big movers with the exception of Guyton managed to move up 8, and Duvall behind him move up 6. A couple big followers to David Borden, black flagged, binned it and parked it. Cotcher lost a handful of positions, as did Corwin. So, and then there is Corwin showing maybe where those positions went as he comes across in a cloud of black smoke with no front or rear bodywork. That might have happened. Something might have happened there on that last lap. But yeah, that is going to wrap up the heat. We're going to launch into a warm-up session here in a moment. So if you need to head to the fridge, grab a beer, take a bio break to get ready for our 25-minute sprint, now is the time as we go into a brief warm-up session, and we'll have a second to talk about season points and so forth. But pretty interesting heat race here, Kenan, and definitely shades of what is awaiting us in the sprint.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we're looking at the championship standings, and Stephen Case clearly the winner in today's heat race before we go into the feature we're about to show, but very handily got his grasp on it. Jason Green not too far behind, but it's really going to take a flip of the switch to find enough gaps to really crawl back on Stephen Case, even with such a small gap, just under 40 points. And then we got Danush Poborji in 3rd, Chris Eggert on 4th, Varun Bally in 5th, Joshua Corrin 6th. We saw him have a little trouble there just now in the qualifying race. Tyrone De Silva running in 7th, and then Chris Wang also had that little bit of a mix-up in the opening part of the qualifying race. So you can see the rest of everybody filling out the top 18. It's all the way down. We've had 28 drivers compete for points so far this season, and it's really been quite a good overall just series and group. I mean, we talk about it all the time, the Sim Racers group. We know they've got the home base out there on the east side of San Jose. It's just a really great community, an awesome league. It presents great racing. We're certainly getting the Stephen Case show so far this year in Formula 3, but it is top to bottom. It's just tight racing everywhere, and it's nice to see a little challenge today. I expect to see Jason Green up front. I do think the one thing I noticed as we were watching that qualifying race, Stephen Case, those final couple laps going through Lesmo 1 and 2, turn 6 and 7, he really found a way to break deeper and keep the car all the way down to the curb. He found a lot of time there, made it really challenging for Poborji to really be able to manage getting a draft so we could have that move going into Parabolicas. So we'll see if that's able to continue. Obviously, all the drivers have learned quite a bit by getting that qualifying race, and I think it's really setting us up for quite a good show we're going to have here in the sprint race as we see everybody getting ready to start warming up.
Yeah, warm-up here underway, 3-minute warm-up. And real quickly, Mike, maybe to take another quick look at the team championship standings. Really not a lot of changes in that. We can pop that back up for a second. But yeah, there's L10 up at the top, as you might expect. Stephen Case on that team, along with Van Wagner. JGJS is Green and Snyder. And Who's My Teammate, featuring Poborji and Dillon, and Dad Tax Racing Team featuring Corwin and Lopez have switched spots the last couple of weeks. So the fight is on for P3. They switched spots again, and then Team Labubu there is Bali and Labivi. And I'll let you go through the rest of those on your own. But yeah, Stephen Case dominant in the individual points and in the championship points, as you can see there, although a couple of tight battles still going. And I think we're going to get the checker in the warm-up here in just a moment, and we'll have your starting grid for you for your second of 2 races here tonight on SMB.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this race we're about to have here at Monza. I think what we saw in the qualifying race was really just a taste of how aggressive the drafting is going to be. I think some drivers were maybe pushing a little too hard, tried to get a little too much too early, and that's just going to create a little bit of an issue for them as this race carries on.
All right, here is your grid as the cars start to come out of the pits and line up. It's Stephen Case next to Danush Poborji. That's going to be an interesting fight we saw in the heat that is going to continue here. Jason Green will line up next to Tyrone De Silva. Blasco lined up next to Leslie in 5 and 6. So Leslie makes something happen there in the heat. Good work by him. Kalen Mikovits next to Adrian Lopez. Mikovits moved up in the heat. Navas will line up next to Grunsky in row 5. Then it's Jacob Guyton next to Adam Duvall in 11 and 12. And in the next row, it is Chris Wang next to Rafael Cardenas. Varun Bali will line up next to Josh Corwin in row 8. Jason Cotcher will line up next to Snyder there in row 9. Cotcher with some work to do after losing 7 or 8 possessions, I want to say, in the heat. And then Borden will bring up the rear. And once again, you're looking at Stephen Case in the 2-4-3. He's got to defend against Poborji there in the red 23 on the inside. And we are green. Case gets off pretty well. And speaking of green, Jason Green gets off really well too. He is ready to capitalize should any problems arise. Also, Tyrone De Silva looking very racy on the inside of green and will challenge green for P3 on the inside through turn 1. Green's hanging on for the time being, but they are now side by side, and I think I see a huge wreck in the back. Mikovits is involved. Leslie is involved. Grunsky, Guyton. Oh my goodness. So there has been a catastrophe in the opening corner of the opening lap of the feature race. We hate to see that. It does happen sometimes though. And very racy stuff up front there. That is Tyrone De Silva in the 480 car, and he is trying to take it to Jason Green. And another collision. Oh my goodness. And going from bad to worse here. And just like last night, my Discord has locked up. I'm going to restart it. Nope, we're back in action. Yeah. But things getting rough here. Look at all those meatballs on our timing tower and black flags. And nobody wanted this Monza race to start this ugly, but it sure has.
That's just absolutely a brutal start, JR. I just can't believe what we just witnessed. I know our producer, Mike Braun, he's working hard. There we go. We get to some of the replays. Looking at Josh Leslie, just kind of sends it in. Looks like it's all going a little soft, but holds it a little too light on the inside there of the 79 of, I don't know who that was. Maybe that was the 76 of Kalen Mikowitz, both losing wings there. Here we're on board with Grunsky going into turn 1. You see just how tight everything is. You've almost got to give it full lock. You see the contact in front. Takes out 3 cars. He's trying to get by. Igor even runs it a little bit close and gets into Mikowitz. Loses it himself. That front end damage, that's almost got to be race ending. So far, we're seeing... looks like at least 4, maybe up to 7 cars are going to have to retire on this opening lap. But it will go as we have the point. Danush Poborji really needs it. And here we see the big one. There you see Jason Green loses it. And unfortunately sends, who was that? Tyrone De Silva flipping in an absolute wild incident. It looks like he was safely able to get back to pit road. So we hope everything's okay there. You see the tire just absolutely hanging on with the tether by dear life and lands upside down with the traffic just buzzing by him. There's nothing I can really do to do much more than just avoid the wreck there. So pretty incredible stuff, but Danush Poborji still hanging on, giving up a little bit more of a break than he did during the qualifying race, but he is still within Stephen Case's tail, and I think he'll get right back up to him. He's still got a race for the lead.
And De Silva is going to be calling for a medic right there. And pro tip, kids, I know when there's a yellow out and there's an incident happening, your right foot just goes down because it looks like an opportunity. But more times than not, it is only an opportunity to add your car to the parts bin. And Grunsky learning that one the hard way right there. And as a result of those kerfuffles up front, look at the positions gained right now. Bali up 10, Cotcher Cotcher up 11, and he needed that after crashing out of the heat. David Borden up 12. He was DFLing it off of the start. So, Monza giveth and Monza taketh away, and some very rough stuff there. Jason Green, a title contender, came into this pretty high up in the points, wanted to get some points here and maybe challenge Case and Poborgi up front, and it ain't going to happen. So very rough and tumble first lap here in Italy.
Yeah, that's just a brutal lap of what we know sometimes when Formula cars come to Monza. You see it in the lowest series and you see it in the highest series. That opening lap is really just such a duel because you have to get everything you can get while the cars are in front. Once things start to get spread out, the track carries so much speed. You do have the advantage of the draft, but it doesn't always make it easy in some of these dogfights, especially mid-pack, to just make the pass cleanly. So you see it can really present some problems. So far today, better than last week, Jason Cotcher has really put himself in a good position. We can see Christopher Wang and Joshua Corrin tagging right close behind. They would really like to be where he is right now, but field's pretty much spread out. That really is the race we have right now at the moment, running for 7th, and you see him coming out of Lesmo, and it's just just kind of the tale of this kind of track sometimes. Formula racing, it really presents a lot of wrecking on the opening laps, and surviving that really is what allows you to set yourself up and have a good finish. It can really all go in the bin quite a hurry.
Yeah, Cotcher looking pretty good, although had an awkward line through Ascari there, and it may cost him. That is Chris Wang is going to have a run down the outside here, and may have a 2-wide entry into Parabolica, and that's who is that behind? Josh Corwin thought about making it 3-wide. Now Corwin is going to stick to the inside there. Cotcher will get away, and Chris Wang washes out wide in Parabolica, and looks like Corwin wants to take advantage here. Corwin might end up leading this trio next time around. We'll see what happens down here on the entry to turn 1. And I told you, I've been waiting for an outside pass right here. Bang! Josh Corwin makes it happen. Thank you, Josh. And Josh Corwin is going to lead that trio for P7 this time around. And yeah, I've been wanting to see that. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, Joshua Corrin doing a really nice job of still holding up the pack. Cotcher right behind him, though. It's definitely been quite aggressive. He doesn't want to sit here fooling with this too long, it seems. We're only about 6 minutes into the race, so you don't want to find yourself too late. And there is quite a lunge by Jason Cotcher, and takes it. Really forces Corwin to have to kind of back off going into the second part of the second chicane. And he's able to secure it away. So now we'll just have to see if Corwin's done enough that he can carry speed here going into Lesmo 2 and running down to Ascari, if he can manage to hold off the draft, or whether we'll see Corwin maybe take another stab at it here very soon.
Yeah, and as you see Cotcher make that tough move into Della Roggia, you wonder, does the league admin have a little extra safety bubble around his car when he throws it in to close quarters like that? Corwin backing out of that one, but an excellent move by both drivers on back-to-back entries to those chicanes, that one of the defining features here at Monza. But let's take a look back up front. It is Case from Poborgi. Case will leave the inside open as Poborgi again makes that draft go to work and sets the fast lap of the race. Takes about 2/10 out of Stephen Case's fast lap. So the game of leapfrog here at Monza has begun. Poborgi will have the lead for now, but only 5 laps in, 18 minutes remaining. And Ken and Charles and I talk about tire wear in these races. The tire bug starts biting generally with about 10 minutes left. So I'm going to say that these drivers probably have about 8 more minutes of pretty hard driving, and then they have to start being cognizant of how their tires are doing and how they're feeling. And we'll be able to identify the folks who have not taken good care of their tires. They'll wash out on entry. They'll have a hard time putting power down on exit. And all of a sudden, speaking of tires, Case lighting the wick right now and has suddenly extended that lead over Poborgi to 1 second. There's Novice over-rotating that entry to turn 1. As I said, a magnet for mistakes. So tough right there, and really separates the folks who have put in a lot of laps out here versus those who haven't. And here is a look at Borden trying to reel in Novice. Got about a 3/10 gap up to him as they enter Ascari.
Yeah, we'll see if he can do anything with the run going into Parabolica there. David Borden kind of looking to take advantage of Jose Navas. Obviously just spun it out. He's trying to kind of manage the tires at this point. He's already heated them up quite a bit, so he's kind of get them down to more normal regulation running type, and Borden not able to really do a whole lot with it, so maybe it'll work out for Navas to still hang on to that top 5. So far it's working pretty good. See, really a lot of white numbers as we're looking on the leaderboard, so nothing really too crazy there. But Borgi made a really good run with Stephen Case, and Stephen Case almost maybe a little gamesmanship when Borgi took him over there the last lap in turn 1. He sort of let him go, but there we see David Borden takes it hard on the inside and spins it out. He made the look. He did have the run, wasn't maybe quite front tire to rear tire, but too much hard on the brakes. The fronts lock up. He spins the whole front around. We'll look at it on board right now. David Borden, you can see he's utilizing that draft. He's peeking. He really makes the lunge, and as soon as he makes the lunge to hold it there, see it just the fronts lock up, around the car goes, and it's going to cost him at least 3, 4, maybe 5 positions. So that's really unfortunate to see. That really was kind of one of the closer races we have, but I do think we maybe have a little tussle going between Corman and Cotcher right now.
Yeah, and that might have actually been a rear lockup that caused that snap. And I'm going to bring up the Charles Boshell theory of low-speed snaps, and his theory on that is there might have been a downshift happening right there while the threshold braking was going on that upset the balance of the car and caused it to snap. These cars normally don't snap that quickly, and we were talking about it in Mexico. We saw it happen a bunch of times, but yeah, here is Cotcher in that 422. My fellow Porsche files will recognize that livery as the 963 Penske prototype livery there on that F4 car. But Chris Wang is right there, well, sort of. He's alternating between right there with Corwin and in some other dimension, but has got that gap cranked down, and again Wang washing out of Parabolica. So Parabolica not being kind to Chris Wang right there. He had that gap down pretty low, and you saw him kind of overcook that entry and wash out and lose a big chunk of it, but nothing corrects mistakes like the massive draft on these F4 cars. And here comes Chris Wang down the inside. Cotcher is going to back out and let him have that one, perhaps with the idea of getting him back under the draft in just a couple corners.
Yeah, and I think that's the smart move by Jason Cotcher. It's really a running right now between him and David Borden, but then we do have Varun Bali, who's all the way up to 4th, up 11 positions, but Jason Cotcher still up 9th. He's running in 8th position. This is the kind of recovery he really kind of had to have today after last week's mishaps at Bolton Park. So pretty good there. And there we see Jacob Guyton goes around. Oh, unfortunately knocks the front end, and looks like his car is being towed back to the pit lane. More than likely going to have to retire. We've definitely seen a lot more retirements from this race than I would have expected. I know with the effects of the damage and all, sometimes you're able to replace some wings, but doesn't seem like we've had but so many cars really be able to continue so far. A little surprising.
Yeah, and Guyton, you see the meatball there on our timing tower. So Guyton on the flatbed heading back to the pits, and we'll keep an eye on him. Timer's still running. He hasn't retired. And there goes Wang. Just as I looked away at the timing tower, I don't know if he had help from Cotcher in that moment. So, Mike, I'll ask you to run that again. But here's Cotcher following Wang into Ascari, and Wang with the unforced error. I told you these curbs will kill you. And Wang adds his name to the list of fatalities, and Cotcher drives away after a very solid avoidance maneuver there.
Yeah, Christopher Wang just using absolutely way too much of the curb there. That is really aggressive. I'm sure he'd like to have that corner back. He may not have even really been trying to aim there with this car, but it looks like he just turned the car in and it went a lot more than he was expecting. Caught that curb way too much, really unsettles it, and off he went, unfortunately shunting into the wall. And that is just going to end his race as well. So just really bad luck we're seeing for a lot of these drivers. It really proves, I think sometimes we look at it on paper, and Monza seems like the kind of course everybody should just be good and fast at. And it really proves time and time again, you can easily find plenty of places to make mistakes all on your own.
Boy, I'll tell you what, there is a smile inside the helmet of Varun Bali in that number 45. Remember, he got his first podium last week coming in P3 at Oulton Park, and he is now up 11 right now. Probably too much to ask for him to reel in Velasco and repeat that podium, but you know that he's got to be happy. And look at the other climbers. Corwin up 10, Cotcher up 10, and David Borden up 11. And of course, a lot of that due to incidents, but a lot of it due to the environment around here. That's pretty good track for passing. And oh, by the way, even though JR said that Monza was going to suck these cars together and form a bunch of trains, look at that timing tower. All of those white intervals mean that there's no cars within even a second of each other. And the intervals getting pretty big right now. The car in P15 is a minute and 42 off of P1 and about to get lapped with 10 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and I think really thankfully, as we're looking through all those numbers, really the closest is between Stephen Case and Danush Paborji. 1.9 seconds. It's totally manageable. We see Varun Bali having a little bit of a struggle there going through turns 1 and 2, and keeps it underneath him though. And he's done a really nice job. Jose Navas has reeled him in a little bit, but there's not enough time left. He should be settled into fourth pretty nicely, but Paborji hanging on to that 2-second gap. He's just got to find a couple corners where he can really find some speed, get himself back where he can get a little bit of a toe and let the air kind of do a little work for him. So all is not lost for Paborji yet. He's just got to find a way to just dig a little deeper, maybe get that car to driving a little bit harder. I know the tires are cooking, but this has really got to be your final chance here in these final 10 minutes to make an opportunity to see yourself at the top step of the podium.
Yeah, and kind of decision time for Paborji, and does he pedal, as Kenan suggests, try to close down that 2.3 second gap on Case, or does he just take a breath, manage the gap behind, and settle for that P2, which would be his fourth podium on the season? So Paborji coming on here late, came in P2 at the Bend, P2 at Red Bull Ring, and P2 last week as well, and looks to repeat that. So Paborji on a pretty good run of podium finishes right here, and if his crew chief is in his ear, his crew chief might be telling him to take a breath, take the P2, get the car home in one piece, because we are getting into the witching hour in terms of tire management, and sometime within the next 5 minutes or so, the folks who have not taken care of their tires are going to be exposed here as the incidents start to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did see Stephen Case have pretty big issues last week at Oulton Park, so he's certainly proven himself to be human like the rest of us, and certainly susceptible for mistakes and mishaps to happen. I think overall he's probably done a pretty good job, and he's starting to drive away from Paborji. Right now it's looking like maybe him and Paborji is going to have to do a little bit more of the tire management, but you may be absolutely right. You don't want to find yourself over pushing it, having a spin out, costing yourself a good finish that you could have had today.
And a tough move by Grunsky in that Angry Bird car, taking Guyton on the inside, going into De La Rogia there, the second chicane. So there is a little bit of action remaining on track. You see it down there at the bottom between P16 and P17. That 0.6 interval is by far the closest one that we have. The next one, no kidding, about 5 times greater, as a couple of 3-second intervals up and down the timing tower. So my goodness, what I really thought was going to be a competitive race with lots of draft trains and passing, due to a couple early incidents, the field completely spreading out and kind of turning into a track day up front. It is Case from Paborji, from Velasco, from Jose Navas, and those 5 cars, Kenan, 23-second gap covering the top 5 when it just as easily could have been 1 second.
It's pretty unfortunate what happened on lap 1. That's obviously not what you see, but you do kind of expect some turn 1, lap 1 incidences to happen here at Monza. But fortunately, with just how strong and powerful the draft is with these cars, it spread everybody out. Nobody was really able to create any train that made much of a significance in catching cars up front. So here we do see the closest battle on the track right now. Igor Grunsky is still leading over Jacob Guyton. It's right down within half a second, and it's really shaping up to be quite a good race. The fans are certainly cheering it on outside the fence. You see them all standing, and it's gonna come down to the wire. I think we'll see if Jacob Guyton's really able to line him up and maybe make a move, or maybe he'll look right here, thinks better of it going into the second chicane. So just be a matter of time. That's certainly a race we're gonna have to kind of look out for. I think, well, I'll expect to see Jacob Guyton to make a lunge at some point before now and the end of the race.
Yeah, and one of the super fun things about covering these races, you don't have to be up front to get some good racing in. These two are fighting for P16, and they're going to drive like they're fighting for P1. And I'll tell you right now, Guyton, this race has not gone the way he wanted. The sprint didn't, the heat didn't go the way that he wanted. He's down 6 right now, but I'm telling you that he wants that P15 like it is P1, and he's going to do everything he can to make it happen. Although, just as I say that, looks like Grunsky has gapped him up a little bit there, added about half a second, has gotten himself out of draft range. So our our timing tower there is free of any distracting colors at the moment, as all of our intervals are quite large.
Yeah, really the only other close battle going on, Joshua Kerwin, Jose Navas, could potentially turn out to be a fight for 5th, but Navas has found himself losing time to Varun Bally, so Bally looking like in pretty good shape to stay on to that P4, but we'll see if Joshua Corwin's able to do anything. Like you said, we're really getting into that witching hour. We're just over 5 minutes remaining in the race, looking at 3-4 laps left to go, and these tires, they take a lot of heat in them. They're not used to always running tracks that create such high level top speeds, almost 250 kilometers an hour in these Formula 3 cars, and it puts a lot of wear and tear in them between the heat that comes through stopping and cornering, where most of the corners really are high speed or chicane style corners. It's just a lot of forces that go on, and you can find yourself easily on the back end of it, and a lot of what you worked for by being fast through the first 20 minutes you can sometimes watch waste away in the final 5. So there's still some little spots throughout that we'll just kind of have to see, but so far everybody pretty straightened out. Everybody looks like they're kind of taking their cruise on where they're at.
Yeah, and then I wonder, Mike, is there any way we can edit that graphic? It says battle for 4th, and I'm not, I think calling that a battle might be an affront to actual battles, as that looks like about a 4-second gap to me. But yeah, things turning into a track day here at Imola. Case has got about a 3 or 4 second gap behind him, and you see the intervals there. Those are spaces between cars, not off of P1. So Paborgi has a 10-second gap behind, and Velasco has about 5 behind. Bali has 8 behind. So again, the top 5 now separated by about 26 seconds. And there are some drivers, though, for sure, with smiles. We mentioned Bali up 11. There's 2 drivers up 11, him and Borden, and also Corwin and Cotcher are up 10. So some heavy movers, some heavy shakers, and standing out on that timing tower, Jason Green, one of our top handful of drivers in terms of the championship, has crashed out, and maybe we'll go back and take a look at that a little bit later. Huge incident that collected another driver. We had a big incident in the first chicane that took out a few cars as well, and that kind of set the stage for the track day that's unfolding right now. And oh my goodness, here comes a fight. Looks like Cardenas has reeled in Adrian Lopez for P11, and at the perfect moment, he is within draft range. So we'll see if he can crank down that gap on Lopez as they head down the pit straight right here, and maybe just a little bit outside of optimal. It's not dropping that much. You might have to be more in the 0.5 range to really see a huge toe there. It looks like Mikovits as well has cranked down on Duvall and has got that gap for P9 down to around a second. So still a little bit of action out there on the track, probably about 2 laps here remaining. And there is, speaking of Mikovits on Duvall, there's Mikovits taking a little peek there, coming through the second Lesmo, and thought he, or the first Lesmo rather, thought he might have a little something there, but plenty of opportunities. It's possible to make a move here into Ascari, and if you get through Ascari clean, you can make a move into Parabolic, and we've seen that a couple times here tonight.
Yeah, and I think Mikowitz doesn't even want to wait until then. He kind of does a little peek, maybe just trying to make Adam Duvall maybe have to try and react a little bit, but both get through the corner pretty nicely. That's going to set up Mikowitz right there, 1/10 away. He's going to peek inside. He's going to try Parabolica. Obviously, this is going to set up Adam Duvall to make a run right back in, and you see Adam Duvall kind of smartly sort of holding off there. He's willing to concede that. He knows if he can get a good exit, and you see both the cars going over that white line, maybe an off track, but shouldn't be any time penalty inherited there, and they'll run straight down. But Adam Duvall will get another run and choosing to look at the outside as we're heading into turn one. So quite an interesting race that we've kind of seen develop there. I don't know if at some point in that previous lap, maybe Adam Duvall had some issues because Mickelwood's really caught up from about 1.2 seconds in a very quick hurry. So we'll have to see if we can find out any more information on that. But there we see Mickelwood's really dogging into that corner, but manages to hold himself ahead. So we do have still a couple scraps. A couple positions are not fully left settled so far, as we are still watching Stephen Case walk away from Paborgi at this point.
Yeah, beautiful side by side there through that opening chicane, and should put that on a loop and put it on the wall down at SRG. That was some great driving by both of those drivers. And who are we looking at right now? That is your leader, Stephen Case. And judging by the time, I don't know why Barney is not waving that white flag. This has got to be the white flag lap right here. So Case gets it around one more time. He's got a 5-second gap behind him to Paborgi, and Case will be back on top. This will be his 7th of 8 victories here so far this season in SRG F3, with the only aberration being last week at Olton, where he used up probably all of his bad luck there in one race. Taking a look at Paborgi there, Case not even in the picture. Here comes Velasco in P3, and you might get a glimpse of Bolly back behind him, but that's about a 5-second gap. So not a lot of drama here down the stretch, with the possible exception of Cardenas on Lopez. But let's see here. Yeah, here's Cardenas and Lopez. They are not on the lead lap, and probably switch here back to Case here in a second. Looks like here comes Stephen Case approaching Ascari about halfway through his last lap. So we'll take a little ride with Stephen Case and look at that smooth, super smooth line through Ascari for the last time down this last back straight here into Parabolical. We'll see him go through the Parabolical, oh my goodness, Parabolica, and take the checker. And Case had a little bit of pressure early, Kenan, but frankly, I think that little kerfuffle at the beginning really helped take some of the pressure off of him. He managed to get rid of Paborgi, and there it is. Stephen Case takes the victory at Monza, his 7th in the season, and solidifies his lock on P1.
Absolutely dominant performance by Stephen Case. Really his toughest competition came in that qualifying race, where Paborgi just did a really nice job of being able to hang on to the draft, but Stephen Case able to find the kind of speed in the corners that just didn't allow that draft to really make a effect on to the final event. We see a lot of the final finishers coming across the line now, and there's Jose Navas leading Joshua Corwin across, and not a whole lot really able to be done there. Jason Cotcher, absolute dog today. Jason Cotcher up 10 positions. Looks like he's going to get himself 7th, so maybe we'll have an opportunity to interview him. I know that he's got to be super excited with that kind of result from where he started. So quite a little bit here, and then we see Cardenas getting himself a little run on Lopez. We'll see if he makes the lunge going into Parabolica. If he has a chance to do it, this is the place he'll do it.
Yeah, he does have an opportunity here. I'm going to say that he's breathing the throttle right there, though, kind of taking it easy on the entry to Parabolica, and probably not going to make it happen as they're putting the power down right here. And yeah, you see Lopez with a little bit of a weave to break the draft, but yeah, Cardenas did not really have a crack at that. If he was going to do something, he had to do it on the entry to Parabolica. So our last couple of cars coming through, the blue names there you see from 11 through 16, not on the lead lap. So big chunk of cars here getting lapped. Only the top 10 will finish here at Monza on the lead lap in what was a messy one. And we'll have those final results for you here in just one moment. I'll take a peek outside. Nobody here yet, but stick around for your race results, and we'll have some interviews from some of our Sim Racers group drivers as well.
Yeah, and I think it's worth giving a shout out right now on the stream. Varun Bally, huge 4th place finish, up 11 positions, as well as Joshua Kerwin, Jason Cotcher, both up 6th and 7th place, up 10 positions. And then David Borden, albeit in 8th place position, but still ahead 11, which is those are pretty incredible runs for the Sim Racers Group Formula 3 Series. When you can take a starting position and find yourself up 11 or 10, that is a really significant run. So really huge day for them. I know they'll all be able to go to bed tonight feeling a little better.
And shout out to Alex Velasco as well. That is his first podium on the season. So good drive for him. A big chunk of it, of course, was staying out of trouble. But Velasco had pace out here, qualified P5, and was able to turn that into a P3 and his first podium. So shout out to Alex as well. And looks like some of our drivers are starting to congregate outside. And let's go ahead and have a chat with Kalen Mikovits. Kalen, it was a wild one at Monza. I'm not sure how much of the madness that you saw or were involved in out there, but we definitely caught you throughout the course of the sprint in a couple of pretty good scraps. So how was your Monza today?
Overall, I think pretty bad because I think I might have caused a couple wrecks there. I think the sprint race had some understeer and caused Jason to lose his front wing, and then I'm still trying to watch back what happened in the feature. It looks like I just didn't turn in soon enough and caused Josh to spin, and then a bunch of stuff was happening behind me. I was trying to let him back onto the track, but didn't realize it was like 3-4 wide behind me, and it sent another few cars flying. So yeah, apologies for that. Was not my best game, but overall, I think once I was out of kind of like the beehive, I was able to make some good moves, defend cleanly, mostly, and just stick to my lane, run some 144 fours, and finish the race. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think,
you.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, you definitely put some good laps together, had some decent pace, saw you involved in a couple of scraps there. I can hear the disappointment in your voice for maybe impacting some other drivers' races, but it happens to everybody, Kalen, especially here at Monza. And when you watch the broadcast, you'll see that you were not the only person to set a foot wrong out here. It was very, very messy out here, as Monza can definitely be. So keep your head up, and we will see you out here next week. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, shout out to Jason again. It's good to be back after 2 weeks and racing again. It's really been a good part of my week, and when it goes well, I hope people enjoy racing with me, and I enjoy racing with this group as well. So had some really great battles, and I appreciate those. So,
Right, excellent. Well, yeah, thank you, Kalen, for stopping by and sharing your thoughts with us, and we'll see you next time out.
All right, thanks.
All right, that was Kalen Mikovits, comes in P9, and you could hear he wasn't feeling too good about his drive, but definitely happens to the best of us. You can ask Jason Green about that, who got involved in some messiness as well. So let's go ahead and bring in Justin Snyder, Kenan, and you can check in with him about his race tonight.
Yeah, so this is Kenan Miller. I'm here with Justin Snyder, and had himself a improving run. Started 18th on the grid after a difficult qualifying race, getting caught up into a little mess, but still found yourself into 14th. So, Justin, how do you feel like today went overall?
It's a garbage race and a garbage track, man. I had technical issues with my pedals. So I jumped the gun and had a 30-second pit after I got my wing taken off in qualifying. Just a garbage race for me, man. Garbage.
Yeah, clearly you're not happy getting out of the car after that kind of result. We can really hear it through the voice. Certainly having the technical issues does not help anything. Like we always compare the old engine breakdowns in real life. Sometimes the software and mechanics just do not work in the sim racing side of things too. So pretty unfortunate to see that kind of happen to you. But as we're kind of looking forward to next week, do you feel like you'll have enough time to get the technical difficulties repaired and put yourself in a chance to have a better finishing position as we move on?
Yeah, I hope so. I know exactly what happened. It's just the more complex you make your rig, the more susceptible you are to those kind of issues. So it's kind of a give and take, But yeah, next week hopefully it'll be a little bit better.
And we can hear the confidence in your voice as well. It's certainly plenty of time. We've got a whole week for hopefully things to be repaired. It does sound confident to know that your race team does seem to know where the problem is arising. So hopefully they're able to address it and address it quickly as we're moving forward. But before we have to head on here and send you off, who would you like to give a shout out to? Anybody you'd like to thank for your opportunity to race today?
No, I want to yell at Fanatec. I want to yell at Hustenfeld. I want to yell at everybody. Nobody gets credit tonight. Nobody. But I do love Jason. So shout out to him. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely the captain. Nobody hates that guy. But clearly we can see quite a disgruntled Justin Snyder there. Not happy with his P14 finish today. We'll have to kind of check with him pre-race next week and make sure he's still with us racing here.
Yeah, that was you could feel the pain, and nothing like computer problems when you're in the middle of a race. So don't skimp, kids. Although he did say he had Heusinkfeld, so that is definitely not skimping. But let's go ahead and bring in Alex Velasco. Alex, I got one question for you. What has two thumbs and pulled their first podium of the season tonight at Monza?
Woo! It's me. I did it, Mom. Look at me. I finally made it.
Well, excellent drive, man. A lot of it was avoiding the flaming barrels and staying out of trouble, but you did have pace and you did put yourself in position to capitalize when you qualified in P5. So what did you think of your race today?
I'm just so happy that I stayed out of trouble for the most part. I did get a 1X though. I wish I didn't. You get extra points if you get no off tracks. But anyway, it was such an amazing time getting underneath the cars that were about to crash out on lap 1 was risky, and then I just backed away and decided to stay a measurable distance away from them, and then luckily it turned out well because their disfortune was my fortune.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit in the broadcast. When you see something unfolding in front of you, it can feel like an opportunity, but it can just as easily turn into a trap. So sometimes better to breathe the throttle and take a breath when that kind of thing happens. And I think we may be watching the incident with Green here in slow motion while we're talking to you. So you should enjoy reliving that when you go back and watch the broadcast later. But yeah, excellent drive. Congrats on pulling off that podium. Oh yeah, and here it is in slow-mo from your view. And I can't remember who that was, cartwheeling through the air.
Just cartwheeled up in the air.
Yeah, De Silva in the ER right now. We understand he has life signs, but not conscious yet. But yeah, that was a nasty one by De Silva. But so again, yeah, really great drive, man. Congratulations on the podium. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
I would like to thank Kenan and JR and Mike Braun because they are the main guys that are doing the broadcast these days. So big shout out to you guys. Another one would be my mom for not being here. She's at home, but she'll watch this later when I give her a shout out. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys next time.
All right, right on. Thank you, Alex, and thanks for the kind words. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.
All right, and my Discord skills are virtually non-existent right now. I believe, Kenan, I have Josh Corwin here for you.
Yeah, I'm down here on pit lane. I'm standing next to Josh Corwin beside his car. Had a really nice run today, up 10 positions from starting 16th after a really quite stressful qualifying race. But Joshua Corwin, I know you kind of had your hands full. You were really having to navigate through some traffic and obviously the opening lap wreck. But how are you feeling with the result today?
Doing good. Also, are you talking about Joshua Corwin or Leslie?
Oh, just kidding. This is Leslie. Joshua Leslie we were talking to right now, who started 6th and had a pretty good qualifying race, but finished in 13th. So was involved in a few incidents throughout. And Joshua Leslie, how do you feel like today went?
I think today qualifying, it was pretty good. I definitely could have gone faster. Just a couple of X's knocked out my fast laps. Then the first race, I think I really liked. Just messed up the start, almost spun around. And then the last race, I got like pit maneuvered in the first corner. So nothing much to say about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we showed it several times on the slow motion broadcasting broadcast of the Sim Racers Group Formula 3 League, and certainly quite a people got caught up in that first lap incident, not just in turn one, but throughout all the corners on the opening lap. So obviously not the race that we want to see, and yeah, they were actually showing it right now in very slow motion, and that's your car getting pretty destroyed there. So obviously not the result you wanted to see, but looking forward to next week. How do you feel going into that track?
What's the track next week?
That is
Donington.
absolutely.
Donington. I haven't driven there, but I'm willing to learn it. I hope it'll definitely be better than this race. So, yeah.
Yeah, Donington, one of those very weird. It's got a little elevation, but generally kind of a flat, very natural track. A lot of grass to it. So before we let you go, we know you had a rough race. You're definitely looking to get a shower, get yourself cleaned up after today's kind of outing. But who would you like to give a shout out to, give some thanks to for the opportunity to race today?
I would like to thank, Jason here. He's running the shop, and then I'm also on his team. I'm trying to contribute as much as I can, but like getting last isn't the best way to do that. But yeah, I'd also like to thank my parents for bringing me here as well.
Yeah, Jason Cotcher, an absolute great teammate to have. Look, sometimes bad races happen. We do know the drop weeks will start to kind of show themselves into effect at the end of this race. So kind of open up a clearer picture where both the team points is and where the individual driver points are. And we really look forward to seeing you, Joshua Leslie, having a better week next week at Donington. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And with apologies, that was Josh Leslie. His Discord name is simply Josh. I had a 50-50 chance and failed, as you all heard. But let's go ahead and bring in one of our hard chargers, Jason Cotcher, after a very, very rough heat race, kind of takes advantage of circumstances to move up 10. Also had some good dicing out there and some legit passes mixed in. So, Jason, pretty eventful race, let's call it, here at Monza. How'd it look from your perspective?
Yeah, hey guys, happy Wednesday. Thanks for having me. There was a bit of an accordion effect in the heat race. I got into the back of Kalen, and I mean, it felt like I barely touched him. I mean, it hardly even made the noise. And then my front wing obviously was made of paper mache because it just exited stage right there. And yeah, a bit of a self-inflicted head slap there in the heat race. I don't know what I would do if I started a feature at the front. I guess over these course of these last few heat races, I've always managed to somehow bin it. But yeah, it looked like the front wasn't exactly a very happy place to be in the feature. It just speaks to the level of difficulty that F3 is. I mean, I've just been looking through some of the replays, and it's a couple of there was a very small mistake on the front straightaway. There was a very small mistake in turn 2. There's a very small mistake in turn 5. And I went from, 18th to 8th in a lap. So, yeah, I had some good scrap there with Corwin and Borden and Chris Wang. I enjoy racing those guys, so that was fun, but not our best show. As a community, as the admin, it's more fun when it goes smoothly, and it's great battle, and it's a great show, and everybody is stoked. There was no line for the interview room tonight, I'll promise you that. But it's also the role of the admin to put a hand up and say that wasn't our best collectively. I mean, across 5, 6, 7 guys all made mistakes. It's a tough circuit. It's a tough combination, especially on cold tires, as it all kind of stacked up in front of me. I touched a couple of guys. I'm already in Discord apologizing for that, so no soapbox for me. Obviously, I made my own mistakes, But yeah, we just gotta pick ourselves up here and look to the next one and hope that it's better. SMB deserves better, SRG deserves better, and our fans deserve better. And for me, that on the moment, that's where it's at.
Well, don't be too hard on yourself there, Jason. I've seen plenty of pileups in professional races at Monza, and it's very, very difficult, very easy to track to make small mistakes, and those small mistakes are amplified, as you said. Although I will say, turn one, lap one at Monza, you got to be prepared for the concertina. You know it's going to happen. You got to leave extra space, and I'll just leave that floating out there. But we appreciate you stopping by, sharing your thoughts with us. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Yeah, I mean, always the community. It's great that everybody, we show up in such numbers every single week. Life gets in the way sometimes here or there, but generally speaking, guys are having a great time, and it's just fun to play video games with our friends. As I sarcastically like to say, thanks to SMB, obviously, you guys make the show, and it's so fun to share it with you. And shout out to that F4 race last night. That was a great show, some great battling and dicing around Interlagos, and those guys did a great job. So, yeah, we just, sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're the bug. So we're just going to have a chat in the Discord and lick our wounds, and we'll look forward to having some fun next week. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is our pleasure, Jason. And I'm sure everybody will rebound next week. Luck comes and goes. And yeah, you're definitely the bug tonight. But we will see you next week. And thanks for stopping by.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
All right, that was Jason Cotcher, who enjoyed some good fighting and enjoyed some other folks' misfortune to move up 10, finishing in P7. So right now, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and, if you haven't already, subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and don't forget to hit that notification icon so that you don't miss any of the action. And speaking of action, this Saturday, Weekend Warriors Formula Vs are going to visit VIR North. That's the short course out there in Kennan's neck of the woods. You're going to want to make sure and check that out. And on Sunday, our Weekend Warriors doubleheader will feature Formula Fords at the Long Beach Street Circuit and Spec Racer Fords at the VIR Long Course, and then XSLR will run the Daytona Rallycross course. Next Tuesday, we're back with Sim Racers Group as their F4 Warriors head to Spain to mix it up at Aragon. And that is going to be a super interesting one. Very long course and not used that often. So they got some learning to do down in F4. And 1 week from tonight, SRG F3 travels to the UK and Donington Park, a fantastic open wheel track, and you are not going to want to miss that. So that is going to wrap up our broadcast tonight, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. I am JR Gregory on behalf of myself, my partner Ken Miller, our producer, Mike Braun, and everyone here at SMB. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and hang on, baby. Friday's coming.